They tell us to hate the other woman. They call her a homewrecker. They say she knew exactly what she was doing. But what if she didn't? What if she was just as blindsided, just as betrayed, and just as in love as the woman sitting at home? Imagine building a life with a man who has no ring, no social media, but he's there for you. He's there for your family. He invests in your dreams. He puts a ring on your finger. You think you found your forever. You have no idea that your entire relationship is just a local arrangement for when he's in your city on business until a fierce gang shows up at your door to teach you a lesson on behalf of the wife at home. Today, we're talking about Freya. As usual, the names have been changed to protect the identity of everyone involved. And this story is still happening as we speak. Freya is still in Port Harcourt. She's still in the middle of this, and she reached out to me because she genuinely doesn't know what to do. By the time this video is over, I think you understand why. Let me tell you about Freya before Phil came into her life. Freya is a young woman from Port Harcourt. She doesn't come from money. She didn't go to university. But she has something that money cannot buy. She can cook. Not just cook well. The kind of cooking that makes people stop working and follow the smell. She started with a mobile food cart. She would push it through the dusty roads near the industrial estates and construction sites of the outskirts of Port Harcourt, selling jollof rice, fried plantain, and pepper soup to workers on their lunch break. It wasn't glamorous. Some days, the rain would ruin everything. Some days, the sun would nearly kill her. Some days, she would sell out in an hour. Other days, she would go home with half her pot unsold. But she showed up every single morning. And that consistency is exactly what caught a certain engineer's attention. Phil was an engineer overseeing the construction of a massive factory on the outskirts of PH. He wasn't like the other men on site. While those ones were loud, dainty, and upwardly flirty, he was quiet, he was well dressed, and from the photos that she shared to prove the authenticity of this story, he was breathtaking. He's in his late 40s with a neatly trimmed salt and pepper beard, very light skinned with eyes that look almost light brown in the sun. Think of a younger and fairer version of Nigerian actor Zach Orji. For weeks, he was just a regular customer. He would eat, pay, say thank you, and go back to his blueprints. She admitted she was already getting fluttery feelings in her stomach about him long before the day they actually started talking. One afternoon, a heavy rainstorm hit. Freya was struggling to cover her cat, and Phil appeared out of nowhere. He didn't say a word. He just started helping her tie the tarpaulin, getting completely soaked in his expensive work gear. When they were done, he looked at her and said, "You shouldn't be doing this alone." That was the start. He began staying after his lunch to talk. He asked her about her life. He didn't rush her. He didn't pressure her. He courted her like a gentleman from another era. He told her he was a bachelor who had been too focused on work to settle down. He said he had finally been moved to Port Harcourt for this long-term contract, and he felt that their meeting was fate. He spoiled her, changed her third-hand blind phone to a silk smartphone, bought her clothes that showed off her calls, took her to nice locations some evenings after they were done with work. After a few months of them talking, Phil told her, "You're too talented to be pushing a cart." He helped her secure a small shop near the city center. He paid the rent, he helped her furnish it. When she opened her restaurant, he was there, sitting proud in the corner, while his colleagues from the construction firm came to eat. To Freya, Phil wasn't just a boyfriend, he was her protector, her provider. He treated her with a level of respect she had never experienced with any man before him. When he asked her to marry him so they could start a family, she said yes without a second thought. What she didn't know was that the man she had agreed to marry was already married to another woman. His family lived in another state entirely, in a house he had built for them years ago. A lot of people will ask, how did she not know? Well, Phil had an apartment in PH that Freya spent some weekends at. No women's clothes, no feminine touch, just a man's apartment. Phil would leave on some weekends or during holidays, telling her he had client meetings or supervision to do out of town. He would return with gifts and stories of his travels. Freya never questioned it. He was a high level engineer. Of course, he traveled, she thought. And so she remained blissfully unaware until 2 weeks ago. Freya had just closed her restaurant. It was late. She was wiping down the tables when a car screeched to a halt outside. A woman stepped out, followed by a gang of 4 young boys. The woman looked through the glass, saw Freya, and pointed straight at her. Then she shouted,
"So you are the one! You are the one using my husband's contract money to play boss lady! You are the reason Phil doesn't come home the way he used to!"
That word husband landed like a physical blow to Freya's stomach. For one strange second, her brain rejected it completely. Her hand froze on the rag she was using to wipe the tables. Her chest tightened. She said later that it felt as if all the air in the room was sucked out and replaced with noise in her ears. Her first thought wasn't even, oh my god, Phil is married. Her first thought was, no, this woman is mistaken. Because that was easier than the believing that the man who had knelt in the dust and asked her to marry him had a wife somewhere calling his name with that kind of ownership. She stared at the woman, and in that second, 100 little things began racing through her head at once. The weekends he disappeared, the way he never let her post him, the calls he sometimes took outside. Before she could even form a sentence, before she could say, I think you have the wrong person, the boys rushed in.
"You think you can steal my life? Today I will teach you what happens to husband snatchers!"
They destroyed everything. The tables Phil helped her buy, the pots she used to cook his favorite meals. When one of the boys moved toward her, Freya finally snapped out of her daze and ran out through the back exit to hide in the neighbor's yard, watching from behind the fence as her dream was torn apart, literally and figuratively. When Phil finally showed up, he didn't ask if she was okay. He begged her not to call the police on his wife. He said it would ruin his reputation at the firm. Shocked and trembling, Freya could only ask one question. Why? Why did you ask me to marry you when you already belong to someone else? He dropped to his knees. He said the marriage had been dead for years. He said he had only stayed because of the children. He said he had already been thinking about divorce. He said Freya was his real love. He said he would rebuild the restaurant. He said if she just gave him 6 months, he would fix everything. But by then, Freya was no longer really hearing his ways the way she would have hours before. Because once trust died, every sentence sounded like another lie. Her friends were terrified for her. They told her to pack up. They told her to leave PH. Some are telling her that she must make the wife sign an undertaking to protect her life before she even spoke to Phil again. They told her a woman capable of that kind of public rage was not done, and if Phil had been so obsessed with protecting his image instead of worrying about her well-being after that running with his wife, he would not protect her from another attack. Freya agreed. She packed up. She didn't want to be a reason a marriage was dissolved. She would never have given Phil a chance if she knew he was dating someone else, let alone be married. She felt disgusted with herself, ashamed, and eager to leave this ugly past behind and start life somewhere else. But then, an onslaught of dizziness and queasiness made her discover something that could make that past a permanent stain she wouldn't easily get rid of. Freya was pregnant for Phil. And this is what is driving Freya to the edge of insanity. If she stays and waits for Phil to get that divorce, if he really does go through with it, isn't she officially the homewrecker now? If she keeps this baby, won't she be tied to Phil and his angry, violent wife forever? Phil is begging her to stay. He says the pregnancy is a sign that they should be together. He had accidentally fallen for her, but now he can't live without her. Do you think Phil accidentally fell in love? Or did he use his wealth to create a playpen where he could pretend to be a bachelor? And if she tried to speak to the wife, woman to woman, to explain that she never knew, would that bring peace? Or would it hand a violent woman even more access to her life? Freya, I want to be very candid with what I'm going to tell you right now. Because there is a part of you, and I know this because you are only human, that wants to believe him. There is a part of you asking, but what if he really does love me? What if the marriage really is dead? What if he just made a mistake? Well, let's play the devil's advocate for a second. Let's pretend he does love you. Let's pretend he really is filing for a divorce tomorrow. If you stay and he leaves his wife for you, what exactly are you winning? You're winning a man who just proved to you that he's capable of looking at a woman in the face for years while maintaining a completely separate life in another city. He stood at an altar with his wife. He had children with her, and yet he was able to rent an apartment, fund a restaurant, and propose to you without his conscience stopping him. If we validate his love for you, we are essentially supporting the fact that he cheated on his wife for over a year. And Freya, the truth is, if he can't do it with you, who is to say he won't do it to you? What happens in 5 years when you are the wife at home with the kids and Phil meets another hardworking woman who catches his eyes? Will he rent another apartment? Will he open another restaurant? Will he tell her that his marriage with you is dead? And as for the baby, that is a decision between you and God. I will not sit here and tell a woman what to do with her own body. But whatever you decide, do not make that decision based on the promises of a man who is more afraid of his professional reputation than he is of his wife attacking you on the streets. Set a life. If that means leaving the city for now, do so. Your talent goes where you go. You made legendary jollof rice and pepper soup before you met Phil, before Phil showed up with his money, and you will make it after he's gone. This is one of the most difficult stories I've had to tell because there are no winners here, just a destroyed restaurant, a violent, betrayed wife, a pregnant, broken woman, and a man who thinks he can fix everything with 6 more months. If you were Freya, pregnant, business in ruins, facing an aggressive wife, and a guilty conscience, what would you do? Would you stay and see if he actually gets a divorce? Or do you believe that a man who cheats on his wife to be with you will eventually cheat on you too? Would you walk away to save your life and preserve your inner peace? Drop your comments below. Freya needs to see that she isn't alone in this. If you have a story like this, send it to the email on the homepage. I'll see you on the next story. Stay sharp.